Damn it. I don't know what's going on with my sound. What's up, Ian? I wonder, can you guys hear me? Somebody give me an indication if you guys can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Okay. That is so strange. Yeah, okay. I appreciate that. All right, thank you. Let's see. Oh, good. A few people coming in here. What's up, Ian? Good to see you. Brother Damon, hope you're well. Tora, what's happening? Destro, what's going on? I'm listening. Brother Ron, Clutch and Stick. Barry, what's the word? Jerome. Got Prince Johnny in here. International Jones, Clee and Chris, what's up? P West. Let's see here. Got a few people coming in here pretty early. Looks like I might have hit a nice little nerve with this subject, so we might get some responses. What's up, brother Malika? Eric, Tablicker, Corey, Dijon, First Name, Typhoon, Excalibur. Got a few people coming in here. Brother Eric, Michael, what's going on, man? RM, what's happening? Christopher, Eric, DJ, what's the word? All right, brother Brian, good evening. Black men being brutally honest, what's going on? Y'all know what it is tonight. Welcome to the Onyx Report. We're black male justice advocates, uplift black men and boys using critical analysis. What's going on? Appreciate that Cash App, Crispus. Thank you. It was a light day, Malika. I managed to get Heroes Reborn. I got a couple of Batmans and Supermans, but I was rushing through because I was trying to make it back. I was starting to hit traffic. So, brother Artisan, I shouted you out, man. I didn't know if I let the rabbit out of the bag too early, but I did a live where I ran to the comic book store and I let people know that I'm not gonna be doing that for too much longer. When the good brother Artisan is ready, I recommended that people extend him their business. So I hope I didn't jump the gun, but trying to support you, man. So hope you're well, and congrats to you, brother Daryl. What's going on? First name. Appreciate that, Daryl. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. Black men being brutally honest. Thank you. Sword collection is a long time coming, man. I've been waiting for some of those since I was a kid. I still get up and watch Conan at 2 a.m. like I did when I was like 7. So that sword in my collection alone means a big deal. That and the blade sword are close to my heart. Yeah, Artisan, gotta support, man. So let me know what else you need me to say. Down to do it, 100%. Computer Geek, appreciate that. Brother MLR, what's going on? Mike Lowry, gonna get into it. Prodigy, what's up? Brother Ian. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna get to it. All right, let's see here. So y'all know the deal. Let me get through some of the house business before we continue on. You can go ahead and support the show by becoming a member of the channel. You can do so. Appreciate that prime time. You can do so by right here on YouTube, as we are broadcasting on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Come to YouTube and go ahead and click join button right next to the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the bell so you can get notifications when I go live. As I'm going to be doing a little bit more of. I just got to find new reasons to leave the house since Artisan got me locked down. And that was the only reason I left the house these days. What's up, Brother Barry? Appreciate that. So, but anyway, become a member of the channel. You can see the different levels of membership there, and you can look at the perks that are available for each one. You can also become a member on Patreon and support either the Onyx Report and or the Institute for Black Male Studies. You can support that there as well, become a regular supporter. And you can also go to instituteforblackmalestudies.com and check out some of the material we have available, everything from interviews to lectures to courses to webinars to merchandise. So support the Institute as well. And if you have any suggestions on some upcoming classes you'd like to see on the Institute site, let me know. And I'll be interested in delving into that this summer. So you can support that way as well. Kid Gravity says he doesn't see the join button. Interesting. Okay. See if YouTube changed anything. It's one of those things that slips by me. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Y'all let me know if anybody else can't see the join button. But, try and check that out. I don't know if YouTube changed anything on my account. I'll have to check. But if they did, they didn't tell me. What's up, Shonda? What's up, Brother Douglas? Yeah. All right. Now, let me go ahead and shout out my supporters. So let's go ahead and do that. Peace to them and much appreciation. This is a shout out to our channel's subscribers, both on Patreon and YouTube. What is going on with my sound?
One day, the brothers gonna work it out.
This is so weird. I apologize. I don't even know what kind of sound issues these are. Anyway, seem to be back in the groove. All right. So today, I only got one little statement that I'm going to put up before we delve into the subject. So basically, let me see if this will open up for me. All right. So just one little public service announcement. I think it was like last week, there's been this huge dust up, I guess, because this MMA fighter, Malik Rashid, decided to weigh in on a number of topics ranging from red pill to apparently intimate partner violence. And one of the things he put forth was that intimate partner violence or domestic violence didn't really exist when it came to women aggressing on men. And, one of the things I immediately pointed out on Twitter in response to that was an image of a young man who had not only just experienced that very issue, but was very close to death in response to that. Right. And I didn't get a response, and I didn't care if I got a response because I really appreciate that, Mojo. He said Dr. T is our Doctor Strange protector with black male reality. Appreciate that, man. I never imagined myself as Doctor Strange. But anyway, so he responded he didn't respond, I should say, and I didn't care because I just wanted to inform people. I wanted to use it as an opportunity to let people know who may not, that it is very easy for males across age to be victims. Now, the image I posted on Twitter, which I don't have available right now, so I'm not going to post it here, was of a grown man. But this has to do with a younger boy, right? And it has to do with the ways in which males experience this. Appreciate the membership, Brother Javon. Welcome to the Onyx Brotherhood. So it looks like the membership button is still there. You might want to refresh if you can't see it on YouTube. I don't know what else to tell you, but it looks like it is working. See, Kashif, appreciate that Cash App. So here, as you can see, we have a teacher who told a student that if he didn't have sex with her, she would lower his grade. This is a piece you can find on WashingtonPost.com. Teacher forced her student into sex and docked his grade after he refused, suit says. Brother Mike, appreciate that support. But this is interesting when you look at it, right? This is a 27-year-old math teacher. This was from 2018. It's been a couple of years, but nevertheless, I deal with these as they come across my desk, so it is what it is. 27-year-old math teacher Jennifer Olajare Aro coerced a 17-year-old student into having sex with her, repeatedly threatening to dock his grades if he refused, according to a lawsuit filed by the South Carolina teenager and his mother. Sexual advances had become so public, direct, and obvious that the student avoided Aro's classes at Burke High School in Charleston. Aware that administrators, other teachers, and his classmates knew about them, the lawsuit says. Sexual encounters ended in December after the teen refused to have sex with Aro and then lowered his grade from 98 to 89 out of 100, according to the lawsuit. The teen and his mother sued Aro's employer, the Charleston County School District, accusing officials of not quickly investigating Aro despite a history of sexual misconduct in the district. The lawsuit, filed last week in Charleston County Circuit Court, comes amid an investigation of the district's handling of separate allegations against a different school employee who was reportedly promoted despite accusations that he had used a school computer to view child pornography. That employee was later accused of molesting 2 students. Now, see, we know, according to the article, that this was a male who was apparently not only watching child porn on the district sites, district computers, but molesting students. There was no ambiguity about how to deal with him. Somehow, when it comes to, female teachers in positions like this, it's all kinds of an issue. Because one of the things you'll notice, even in the image on the screen, the word rape is nowhere present. There's no abuse of authority in any significant way, so on and so forth. So we know that there's a kind of, cognitive dissonance when it comes to how males are addressed in these kind of situations, right? So continuing on, it says they'd known about the propensity of their employees to have some type of sexual exploitations, and therefore they were all on notice, said Mark Pepper, who represented the teen and his mother, neither of whom is named in the lawsuit. It's just clear to me that they just didn't care. It's just a complete lack of oversight and supervision from the district itself. It's a pattern. School spokeswoman said the district does not comment on pending litigation. Aro, now 28, was charged in December with sexual battery of a student. Her attorney did not return a call seeking comment. During Aro's bond hearing shortly after her arrest, Holmes said she did not have a criminal record or disciplinary history at the school and had received teaching awards. I wonder what awards she was getting. Anyway, the Post and Courier reported she taught pre-calculus and algebra and is married with a baby girl. Wow. So anyway, it continues on to say that Aro was hell-bent on having a sexual relationship with the student. She began flirting with the teen after she became his math teacher at Burke High School in 2017. She talked to him about sex before, during, and after class and made sexual advances in plain view of other teachers and students, the lawsuit alleges. In November and December, Aro encouraged and coerced the teen to have sex with her on several occasions and at different places, at the school, in her car, in her home. At least once it happened around Aro's 10-month-old baby, the lawsuit says. When the teen resisted, Aro turned to blackmail. Each time he would show his hesitancy to continue, this forced sexual relationship, she would remind him that she alone controls his grade. Pepper alleged that school administrators and teachers who knew about the misconduct did not report it to school officials. At this particular high school, all the teachers are very close. It would shock me if the teacher herself didn't share with other teachers what was going on with her student. We've all been in high school. You can't keep that kind of rumor mill under wraps. That gets around, and teachers are the first to pick up on that. The bottom line is that if anyone knew about it, including teachers, they had an affirmative duty to inform the school administrators. Teen's classmates knew about it too and teased him for being a teacher's pet, among other things. Yeah, I kind of doubt that one. Anyway, the teen, the suit says, didn't say anything about the teacher to his mother for weeks, fearing that Aro would dock his grade, and she had threatened to do so, but in December, he decided he couldn't go on. He put his foot down and said, "You do what you got to do. I'm just not doing this anymore with you." And then Aro then docked the teen his fall semester grade by 11 points. The lawsuit says he told his mother, who immediately reported the allegation to police and school officials. But Pepper said the district did not investigate until about 3 weeks later when Aro was arrested. All right. Let me see anything else here of note. The district has been facing criticisms. Let me see. Okay, so then they talk about the guy who was engaged in child porn, actually got promoted at a particular point in time. Right. So they're linking this to ongoing behavior throughout the district with the one other case. My point simply here is that when it comes to, males and female sexual aggression, we have a different language for it. We have a way of overlooking it. These stories tend to get buried. They don't tend to lead the discussion. And again, the biggest issue is you notice, the terms that are comfortably used with males are not used when it comes to females. So that being said, we have to be able to really look these things directly and challenge them, right? Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, whether we agree with it or not, the boy was underage, and by law, that alone constituted statutory rape. And yet, male teachers do not get those kind of situations reevaluated and seen as other than what they are, right? So let me go ahead here and ask you to go ahead and support, again, the Institute for Black Male Studies. Go to the website, look around, feel it out, kind of see what might be in there of interest. You can share some of the interviews there and go from there. Let's see. What's up, Zeke? We got High Scholar in the house. What's going on? Ian Graves, of course. Appreciate that help, man. Let's see. Mike Lowry, my own thinking cap. What's up? Mark Winter. Exactly. Rape is rape regardless. All right. Now, let me welcome my guest. See if I can get him in here. What's up, sir?
What's going on, Dr. Truth?
What's the word, man?
That's chilling.
Oh man, I had to pull you up on this one. I had a different show in mind, but when this article ran across my desk, I said, "Oh shit, we got to put this one into some time." There is a lot happening here, boy. A lot happening here, and especially in alignment with other things, this can't be or shouldn't be taken lightly. But I said, let me invite the good brother in here. But I'm gonna, let me see if I can pull this up here, and I will share it screen here if I can, just so people know, if you haven't had a chance to see it, what all the hubbub is about. Mm-hmm. Is this piece here. All right, there we go. So this is not something you're familiar with. This popped out. I saw it, I think, last night, first time, and some of you may have seen it earlier or elsewhere. Nevertheless, as you can see here, dailycaller.com report OnlyFans to pivot from porn as it seeks to become mainstream platform. Now, you've been talking about not necessarily OnlyFans in isolation, but you've been talking about the things that people do, women in particular, in response to this last year alone.
Right.
Let alone some other things. If you could, what are your overall thoughts about the state of the economy and where things are as we're coming out of COVID? And you've continued to talk about these things. What is your thinking at on these now?
Okay. This is all COVID did was accelerate stuff that was already getting ready to happen. We kind of put it on steroids. So COVID forced, number one, it forced shutdown, so people didn't have an income, but also forced businesses to kind of automate faster than they normally would have. So even though now, with them coming out of COVID right now, that there's a shortage of workers, but that's gonna, that's gonna get filled up pretty quickly. And what you're going to find out is a lot of I think they called it a she session. It was happening in 2019, even before COVID happened, where a lot of the soft jobs were actually getting replaced by artificial intelligence. And a lot of the soft jobs that the government would normally fund, they weren't funding anymore. So that's what's causing the she session. All COVID did was actually accelerate it, because now you have a child care problem, you have a school problem, you have all these other things that are piling up, and they're even saying that some women may not return back to work, or if they do return back to work, that's the reason a lot of people aren't returning back to work, because they're only getting like part-time hours. Okay, the job is there, but the thing is, the job is not there the way it was. And even like Amazon just has a warehouse where it only needs 3 people. It's completely automated.
Wow.
So stuff like that, stuff like even the burger joints, McDonald's. Okay, they only have when I was a kid, when I first got my first job at McDonald's at 16, 17 years old, they had up to 8 cashiers. Okay,
you were Calvin.
Huh? Yeah, I was Calvin. I was Calvin. Okay.
He's got a future.
They told me that too.
Okay.
I was a Calvin. And he had 6 to 8 cashiers, and most of the times, if it was busy, the rush hour, he had 5 or 6. Now you're down to 1, and you have what you call this cashless kiosk. And now I've been experimenting with it. You can actually have somebody bring it to you, or you can actually go on your phone app. Okay, you get a better deal on your phone app than you did just walking to the counter, and have one person bring out the food to you. So it's replacing a lot of jobs. Yeah, and that's just one. Home Depot. You can go down the list. Home Depot, all the service sector. The service sector is getting wiped out by AIs and automation, and that's going to continue. And you also think about what I have been documenting, the laws that they have been prostitution laws they have been decriminalizing. I know that at least 5 or 6 cities and maybe a couple of states. Recently Maine did it, and Oregon's trying to do it, and also Louisiana's trying to do it, which you think is in a Bible belt that wouldn't happen. Right. But you have all these people trying to decriminalize prostitution. There's a reason for that. Okay, all these women aren't going to have jobs. What do you do with them? Yeah.
And we should also add a little more information as far as genderizing the last year. Right? One of the things we know, and we've been talking about this regularly, was one of the things that hit was the loss of childcare, right? So we know that inadvertently hit women, which for many men was an irony, because we've had to fight upstream for custody, hell, for even 50-50 custody. Right, men have to fight upstream. So by the time the loss of childcare hit, whether you had a job, whether you had an opportunity for a new job, many women found themselves stuck between home and work because they couldn't, they didn't have that childcare access.
Yeah, access, and a lot of fathers got a lot of calls. Okay,
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
yeah, I don't because even with my grandson, because he was with me
Yeah.
while my daughter was working, and
Yeah.
being online, there's a lot of children in this classroom that share time between mother and father.
I bet. And there should be a study at some point as to what impact that had, because I know from, personal discussions with you, your grandson's performance in school improved dramatically.
Yes.
So that would be an interesting study in and of itself. Men, even though we're not being brought back in with open arms, but out of necessity, what impact might that have had on different aspects of Black children's lives?
Yes.
So you have that. The other thing I would add to this is, we talked about some of the different types of grants and funding that's come out in the last year in support of Black women's businesses, business ventures. And I've been talking about this for the longest. I have not seen any of that extended to Black males, even though Black males actually have more entrepreneurial businesses in the Black community than Black women. It's not been foregrounded. Black men have not been mentioned. And I've challenged my audience to send me, any kind of, if from the last year, any type of business support targeted at Black men, because we've seen new business opportunities that are earmarked on the basis of race, earmarked for women across race, earmarked specifically for Black women, but nothing specifically for Black men.
Right.
So that's another dimension of this that we've seen kind of hitting brothers in a unique way that nobody talks about. The other thing is when you mentioned the term she session, one of the problems I always had with that is it obviously it's designed to foreground the experiences of women, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
But it further buries Black men in particular, but men in general, right? Because if you look at homelessness prior to the pandemic, it was already dramatic. We know, half of America's homeless is Black. And out of that, it's difficult to find the data being disaggregated by gender, but historically, that's overwhelmingly been male.
Yeah, the one stat I saw, it might not have been completely accurate, was 70% of the Black homeless are male.
And I've seen over the years in urban centers, sometimes up to 90% male. So it all depends on, when the study came out and what it's actually accounting for as far as geography. But overwhelmingly, it does tend to be more male than not. And then when you start talking about shelters that are earmarked for women and children, they will overtly state it, women and children, right? So men have been, we've been experiencing this to a greater degree anyway. But when you factor in COVID early on, when it was starting to spread, fear was starting to really, grasp many of us about how this can go and to what extent. My question was always about the Black male homeless population. What is going on with COVID in regard to them? And so by the time we fast forward a few months later to the fall, when we're talking about a she session, I'm saying we're talking about a she session because we're seeing the lack of childcare. We're seeing the impact on women who had jobs. I mean, hell, how many times have we heard brothers reporting that they have women in Benzes, delivering groceries, right? So those are the women they're talking about. The women that lost employment. Now the women who might be finding new employment, but being paid far less than what they were before. But no discussion on, the men who were going into homelessness all the way leading up to the beginning of the pandemic and what's happened. So it's not to say with a she session that women have necessarily struggled more. It's just to say that's what they chose to pay attention to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They always, what is it, women and children first?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a wonder if men get addressed at all. So that's part of the issue. But now we're running into, and this is something that one of the commenters on YouTube just pointed out a moment ago, and I put it right up on the screen. We are a few days away from the end of the rent moratorium. And you've actually been talking about not only the moratorium, you've also been talking about the end of unemployment. You want to kind of outline that a little bit?
Well, the end of it's not the unemployment completely, but the federal unemployment was actually given people a $1,200 a month supplement on top of their state unemployment. And you had, I think it was like 22 states actually ended early because it wasn't supposed to end till the 1st of September. But you had like 22 states because they said they had jobs, they opened up their economy, there were no workers. So they said they were actually going to encourage the workers to actually go back by ending their ending the federal unemployment early. In fact, there was a lawsuit, I think it was in it might have been Missouri, because the government actually ended it early. They were actually suing the state for ending it early. But the thing is, that's what's happening right now. And like in Texas, the writ moratorium, the CDC moratorium wasn't supposed to end. But the thing is, the judge had an injunction against the writ moratorium. So in Texas, they're already doing it. In fact, I think I actually showed a story where out of Texas, I think it was Dallas, where they're actually evicting people.
Yeah.
So it's already happening. I hear lots of stories in New York and Philly, in Baltimore and Miami, you know, about women on the street that are homeless. Lots of them.
I've been hearing stories even in LA and Long Beach where as early as last summer, stuff was thrown out on their lawns because if anybody, you know, can't afford to initiate a lawsuit on their own behalf, it's poor Black folk, you know, so it's not surprising. So when they have these news reports about, you know, how people might be getting kicked out early, the way I read that is now you're talking about white folk because, you know, as far as poor Black folk, poor brown folk for that matter, you know, that mess has been going on for the last year anyway, to varying degrees based on where we're talking about. So that's all been happening. And this also, I think we need to put this in context too. This is also, you know, right after Me Too, right? So when we look at Me Too and the impact of Me Too on work culture, obviously men who've engaged in, you know, sexual harassment to any degree have been called out. But we've also seen this weaponized against men with no evidence. And so the idea is that because the accusation is made, it must be legitimate. And we kind of sidestep the very human reaction to power is that some will abuse it. It is what it is. Right? So we're talking about all of these things in a gendered context in a way that sets, you know, men up to be in a very difficult situation. But
also women too, because you know, any corporation or company looks at cost and what is the cost of a sexual harassment lawsuit. So they're less likely to hire a woman they probably would have, you know, 3-4 years ago. Yeah.
So all that to say, right? One of the things we've seen in the last year is the rise of this micro economy, this gig economy. We've seen,
or the human cloud, as the World Economic Forum calls us.
And we've seen that impact everything from transportation, micro transportation, to home repair, to you know, I've seen it with housekeeping, to delivering food. We've seen all of this. Right? And the reports have really shown that for the most part, even the most lauded of these, the Ubers and whatnot, you're essentially talking about minimum wage when everything's calculated. By the time your cars are repaired, or if you're renting a car and you calculate for that and gas, a lot of the time, especially over a year, what they're finding more often than not is that it's really adding up to minimum wage. But one of the things that we also saw rise out of this, and by the way, I should say restaurants as well as drivers were getting shafted when it came to a lot of this as far as food delivery. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen the reports in the last, you know, couple months where you've had delivery drivers in tears, you know, on camera, not able to, you know, pay bills, not able to eat, even though they are delivering, but they're being gouged. Restaurants are complaining. Some of these apps have been taking out a huge chunk, so on and so forth. One of these areas we've seen rise up out of virtually nowhere has been OnlyFans. Right. Which has been around for a while, but wasn't necessarily a sexualized platform. But we saw this kind of rise up. And so I was going to read a little bit of this and get your reactions. Right. So digital media platform OnlyFans reportedly wants to move away from porn as the company seeks to find backers to help it become a mainstream company. The London-based company, which grew with the help of adult entertainment stars charging fans to see racy videos and photos of them. Uh-oh. Good?
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Okay. To see racy videos and photos of them is likely to raise new. Appreciate that support, officer. Good to have you in here. I might have to shoot you a link so you can come up on screen if you got the time. Damn it. Okay, here we go. Is looking to raise new funding in a deal that will put the value of the company at $1 billion. Sources with knowledge shared with Bloomberg in a piece published Wednesday. And you can see right there the New York Post, where it says OnlyFans reportedly seeks $1 billion valuation as it aims to pivot from porn. So they're not doing this out of any kind of moral issue. They're doing this because there's an opportunity there.
Mm-hmm.
There's an opportunity to switch, and by changing their business profile, their platform, it actually stands to make them more money. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, because you have a lot of top tier talent. You know, one thing that COVID did, it was basically slow down or stop the live performances. So a lot of your famous people, you know, athletes, singers, performers, that couldn't make money in real life. Okay, they had to switch to a digital format.
Right.
So the OnlyFans is one of those ready-made digital formats to actually start monetizing, you know, your status, your wealth, and your fame, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but the thing is, if it's associated with porn, it's not good for their brand. So, you know, I was reading Bloomberg, and Bloomberg said there's a lot of legit stars and legit personalities that want to sign up to OnlyFans, but they have to change their model.
They have to change their model. Yeah.
They have to change their model. Yeah. It's bad for certain people's brands.
Now we got about 414 people watching. Please like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel. Y'all know I had to get my boy in here, Dr. GG himself.
Dr. GG himself.
Oh man, what's going on, man? I'm infamous. Not
yes,
famous,
you are.
I'm infamous, man.
Yes, you are. You are truly a gorilla in the mist, man.
Hey, I'm gonna have to calm my gorilla tendencies down, man. What's going on, though?
Well, I had to get your responses in this piece. Officer Faulkner, I already emailed it to you, so you're welcome to come on through, and then probably a little bit later we'll open it up to some dialogue.
Yeah, because it was interesting when COVID happened and you saw a flood of stars. Thank you, Michael. A flood of stars coming into the OnlyFans space and basically taking money away from so-called regular girls, the working girls that didn't have a job, and they were complaining about that a year ago.
Right.
So this just makes it worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tab liquor, I like the name.
Tab liquor, we got Officer Faulkner in the building.
Officer the doggone law.
What's up, man?
Shout out to the good doctors at BGS. I feel honored to be around such esteemed intelligentsia.
Anyway,
my esteemed Negro intelligentsia. Okay, I love you.
You and your pinky ring, man.
That's right.
It's actually dual pinky rings, but who cares?
Hey, I'm on that pinky ring game myself. I'm with you. See,
I had to buy like about $210 worth of cigars, so I'm smoking with you.
All right.
All right.
Well, I'm gonna finish this.
Okay.
You guys' responses on. So continuing with it, it says the company reportedly hopes by shedding its porn reputation, it can attract investment from venture capital investors. Many venture capital firms reportedly often have deals with investors who prevent them from investing in vice industries on things like firearms, alcohol, and porn.
Mm-hmm.
Noted, The goal would be to attract a wider range of celebrities and athletes to connect with their admirers and fans. Big name celebrities who already use the site, including actress Bella Thorne, rapper Cardi B, and professional boxer Floyd Mayweather. And this is it. So last year, OnlyFans handled $2 billion in sales, with the site taking a 20% fee and making more than $400 million. But as we saw, they are up for a $1 billion valuation.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
Oh man,
go
bro.
ahead and jump to Gigi.
These people are trying to cash out, and the porn business is not good for long-term blue chip stock business. Just not the kind of business model that people want to invest in over the long term. I mean, they're worried about their reputation, and it's not good to be in the business that's perceived as exploiting women. And so even though one could argue, they're trying to legalize prostitution and, to lower the social stigmatization that comes along with it, it's still it's still a hard sell for someone to invest, especially if they're reputable, long money, not new money, but, established long-term money. They don't want to be associated with that. So I get it, but it's not going to be good for, the women who are making money off of this venue.
Yeah. Well, and I think there have been some reports that came out in the last year that showed that, even though you had top earners, as you do in any industry, the majority of women found that this was far more expensive an endeavor than they thought. Everything from production to cameras to background to all these different things that many of them were doing themselves. And of course, appreciate that support, Dijon. And of course, one of the things they're running up against is having a very small audience in many instances and really breaking even if they're lucky. Right? So
I just don't see it. Well, if you, I don't know how BGS ranks women. I know he's got his Octane series or whatever the case may be. But I mean, the baddest women, the ones who look the best, I've not seen, OnlyFans, production be stellar and, 5-star. It's just like, they grab their telephones, they show themselves shaking their rumps, and, the hourglass and the bubble, if that's right, then they get investment, but porn ain't going nowhere though. But the ability for them to cash in on it in this way and on this venue, they're just going to start taxing them more, or either they're just going to tell them, look, we're not going to support that kind of content. So I guess it's going to drive the business somewhere else.
It's got to go to the porn sites, which are very exploitive.
It's called Twitter.
Well,
some of the stuff I've seen on Twitter, it makes Pornhub look like a Sesame Street.
There probably will be a flood on pre-existing apps, but the thing about OnlyFans is it turned out in an article I looked at last year, the ones who were doing the best tended to be Instagram models that already had
a
followings.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so it really impacted everyone else who kind of went into it thinking that they were going to, because y'all saw the reports, certain women making $50,000 in a month, that kind of thing. And I think, people thought in some way this was going to be like Bitcoin or something. And, so this is huge. This is huge in terms of this, and where will it go from here?
But I mean, you got to look at it like this, man. It's like the rap music industry. During the 90s through the 2000s, that was the time when, you could cash in if you were a rap star. But now everybody's a rapper. Everybody has a Fruity Loops program. Everybody can produce music. And I think there are more producers than there are rappers now. So it's not worth anything anymore. It's like the more people saturate a market, they attenuate, the profitability associated with that market. So if everybody's shaking and showing their asses, you know, the profitability from showing and shaking your ass is going to diminish.
How much can you? I mean, how far can you go? You know, at some point, you can't go for any further.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
you compete, and you're competing against free stuff, which is the Pornhubs, the X videos and that kind of stuff. So
I think they should make videos of them cooking and cleaning. You know, actually being cordial and nice to people. Oh man, I'm gonna put $20 a month on that one for the budget.
Porn for niceness. That would
Porn for cooperation. Wow. Where did this come from? Wow. Like I look at it so much, man. Like prostitution is probably making a serious comeback. I mean, I bet you this summer it's gonna be like Sodom and Gomorrah.
It will be, but the thing is that, like I said, I've seen this before. You know, because I came of age during the crack era, and I seen what happened when you dump that many women on the street.
Sorry, shout out to Corey. He just made me laugh. But go ahead, man. Well, I'm sorry.
No, what do you say?
No, he's over here he's on some Officer Faulkner stuff.
Yeah, Gerald, I like you folding them clothes, Gerald. Yeah. Oh,
well,
man.
look at what your boy Bitter Truth said. You know, one girl does cook and clean, but she does so naked.
Are you?
Don't laugh, but that's happened several times.
Hey, that might be worth viewing it, worth tuning into.
But just, you know, real quick, I will say I didn't really think this was going to take off because of what you just mentioned, BGS. When I first heard about it, I'm like, porn is free.
Yeah.
I didn't imagine that so much money would go into this because so much porn is free. And I'm saying that as a 70s baby, right? Because at that time, you know, you had to find a magazine on the street unless you had a father that had a collection or some shit. Like it was hard to get.
Yeah,
free, and yet OnlyFans went through the roof. So that caught me off guard.
Oh, because porn is free, but it's also impersonal. And what the men are paying for is not to see sex on the screen. They're paying for a personal connection with the artist.
I was.
That's like that. What's that Players Club where you going back to the house, go to the apartment?
Yeah,
you know, they want that like that personal touch.
They want a personal touch, and that's what a lot of guys that are you know, especially during COVID, they were lonely. They were looking for a personal connection. It's almost like the animus and anima, right? There's certain keys, there's certain triggers that will cause a guy to invest his anima into a woman, and where his anima goes, his money will follow.
I've actually did a scientific study on that one. Believe it or not, scientifically speaking, if she got a fat ass and a nice set of breasts and a thin waist, it equals a bigger wallet for her.
Well, it's true, but it also, you know, if you notice, it's probably going a little off the rails, but if you notice that there's an imprint, there's a generational imprint, and what women will do is they will look at the hot girl and they will copy her, like whether it's a Kim Kardashian or a Melissa Ford or whatever it is. They see, what is she doing and how can I copy her? So when a guy sees a picture of her, it automatically goes to a subconscious, and that's what you want. It's like, I mean, you see all these women looking exactly alike. You go on Instagram, and they all look alike. You know, you have a hard time telling which one is which because they all look alike. They all have the same body parts. They have the same kind of makeup. They almost have the same kind of hair.
Well, I tell you what, man. You know, back in the day, in the 90s, on to the the 2000s, they used to have like the phone sex lines or stuff like that.
Yeah,
and I guess this is no different than that, you know. But now it's just multimedia as opposed to the auditory connection that you can have. But I just don't understand it, man. To me, I'm just gonna keep it real. I get it, but I don't get it. That's space age simping.
It is. I mean,
and not only is it space age simping, but I feel like, look, man, the P is free, bro. Like KRS-One.
You don't. The reason why you don't get it is because you get it.
Yeah, yeah. The simps,
Man.
it's like the poor. The simps will be with you always.
Oh,
But I just look, bro. I mean, you got to pay for it one way or the other. Okay,
Mhm.
there is no either. You got to pay with your time. You got to pay with your energy.
Mhm.
You know, some people pay with their money,
Mhm.
so that they don't have to spend time or energy.
Mhm.
But it's some, you know, in some way you're going to pay. But at the same time, man, paying for the, you know, impersonal connection,
Mhm.
because it ain't, you know, it's not personal for real. It's business.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I just can't see it, man. I just
Okay,
don't get it.
and this is what they've noticed, and this is coming from a lot of studies on a lot of brain studies, right? Okay, which is why which is why dating apps work so well, which is why your phone and stuff like that. Okay, your subconscious doesn't know the difference.
mm,
Okay, your conscious mind knows that this chick doesn't give a damn about you, right? You just paying her to actually talk about you or talk to you. Okay, but subconscious doesn't know.
mm,
It accepts it as real, and you actually react on your subconscious more than you do with your conscious.
mm.
That's like these apps and the iPhone and all this kind of stuff actually works because it goes directly to the subconscious.
Yeah, well, hey, you know,
You can
I
see
don't
on
know, man.
that's why OnlyFans blows up, man. It's why if you hit a guy's imprint, it's gonna go right to his subconscious, and he's gonna want basically it's gonna he's gonna want to take care of you, and that's what these guys do. Some of these chicks have regulars, just like a prostitute has regulars,
Yeah.
and you have you get 50 guys giving you $100 a month to take care of you. It's $5,000.
Man, I barely gave my girlfriend $100 a month.
I just, you know, I get it, but I
Mhm.
don't get it. I
Yeah.
understand it, but I don't understand it. So
Yeah.
You,
that's just me. Look, I go to
you
the strip club with my homies.
hmm
I used to. I don't do it
hmm
anymore. But you know, we'll go there, and you know, I'd be like, I don't want to lap dance, mama.
hmm
I would like to observe from afar.
You
hmm
know,
You know what I'm saying? Let me drink my beer, smoke my cigars, and you know,
Because you're a Gemini and
drink,
and you're detached. So
drink
yeah,
your
like that.
liquors. You know.
I just don't give it. I mean, I can't understand giving up all my
Can I
cash, man.
cross reference the good Dr. GG?
good.
Good sir, how are you doing this evening?
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, smoking a fine cigar, drinking Gold Reserve Johnny Walker.
Okay. You feeling nice?
Feeling nice, just like Jerry Rice. So, sir, can I ask you, during your adolescence and your youthful days, have you ever had any troubles getting with the opposite sex?
Not really, man. You know, when I was younger, you know, at first I didn't know what sex was and all that kind of stuff. But then when I did learn, this is like, man, I'm gonna tell you this might sound crass.
hmm
It's the worst thing in the world, man. But I used to think, okay, I'm gonna holler at 100 hoes. That's what I called it.
It's
And it's
crack.
wrong, okay, but that was my
No,
mentality.
that's game. Yeah.
I said 100 hoes, and when I hit 100,
hmm
then you know I'll select. But I never could get to 100. It was always like I get to like 14 or 15.
hmm
I got a girlfriend now. But I mean,
hmm
my whole thing was volume. Like I'm just, if she looked good, I don't care where she is, I'm on her. But to me that's too much energy. It's a waste of time. But you know, after about 5 or 10 years, I learned, man, dude, why are you wasting your time chasing these women? Even talk, you know, like walking up to them, trying to, you know, enamor them and all that. I'm like,
hmm
I got personal goals to fulfill. So I just thought, you know, I said to myself, this is ridiculous.
hmm
But
Well, hold up one second. So, shout out to Computer Geek. Shout out to brother Don May. Appreciate that support. Make sure you guys like the video. We got about 534 people watching. Again, like, share, subscribe, join, and donate. Support the channel. But the question I really wanted to pose in this discussion is, what impact does this have?
hmm
What impact does this have? Like OnlyFans, you know, for all we've heard about it in the last year, making this kind of pivot.
hmm
What are the various things you guys see on the horizon with this major shift taking place?
Well, if OnlyFans is not doing it and they can't make money virtually, they're gonna have to do it in real life. So they're gonna get dumped on the street. That's what's gonna happen. So basically, they were prostituting online, like somebody was saying, digital skin. Okay, now you got to do it in real life, and now you got to do it one at a time because you can't entertain 100 guys in real life.
Wow.
That's wow. It's got them spoiled. It's got them spoiled, BG and Doc and Officer. It's got them spoiled. See, look, I went to Las Vegas, man, maybe about 15, 20 years ago, and I was on probation when I went. You already know. I told you I have a criminal record or whatever. So I went there and I saw all these badass women, man, like at the fucking place where I was registering to be there. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like thinking to myself, why are all these badass women coming here? And then I realized, oh, they're there to register for the sex trade because it's legal in Nevada now. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But it's legal there. But can you imagine prostitution legal everywhere, man?
Wow.
Can you imagine it like? Can you imagine that, man?
It's gonna flood the market.
Hold on,
it's gonna be like a fast food industry with sex.
Wow.
It's gonna be worse than that.
Drive by. Imagine going to the drive-thru. Can I get a big ass cheek? Like what the hell? But I've noticed this. What it is that here's the thing that really drives the nail. Not only do you have to drop the women on the street, and they're gonna have to, like you have things like Liz Crawler and formerly Black Page, but this is also an open out for the transgenders, because we have a lot of them in Baltimore who are into that trade as well.
Okay.
And because they're looking, how can I say it? Unique. It's hard for them to get regular jobs.
Now, but tell me this, because I'm late to certain things. By the time I found out about Backpage, it was because it was in the news because they were shutting it down or whatever. What is there another Backpage that this kind of thing hits? Will they create a new one altogether?
They already have. They already have. But they already have. There's several of them. There's several of them. But in fact, you might want to have. I'm trying to remember her name, but she was a ex stripper, and she knows all of them, all the different places where you can actually find escorts and stuff like that. She actually named like 3 of them.
Okay. So does this flood that, or what happens?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that the stats is that at any one time, you barely have male and female a million pros out of 330 million people. You have maybe a million, less than 1% are actually prostituting themselves. What happens when you actually go to 5 or 10?
Yeah.
And what happens? It's supply and demand.
It doesn't sound like much numerically, but driving around a given city is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
That's why the thumbnail you had on one of your recent videos where you had the woman sleeping in her car with the 2 babies
with the twins. Yeah.
I don't know if somebody has some background music they got to turn down or something. But yeah, so I mean, the impact of that. I don't think many of us are really prepared for what this looks like. You know what I mean? Even when you say something like people shift to actual, prostitution, I don't think many of us are really prepared, for seeing a woman, say, breastfeeding a baby on the side of the corner while she's, tricking. You know what I mean? Like the reality that this, appreciate that, Marvin. The reality that this proposes, there's a lot there to be looked at. Anybody want to respond to that? What are we looking at?
Sodom and Gomorrah, basically. I mean, the closest thing. If you ever saw The Wire, and I know Officer Charles, I know he's in Baltimore. I know he saw it. There was a several episodes that actually outlined Amsterdam, right, where you had the open drug trade, where it was legal, and basically in one area of town, and basically you had almost like walking zombies, walking back and forth, and that was what was happening during the crack era when all these women actually got dumped on the street because they're on, they had habits, and it's interesting, man, when you actually, roll up and, as a kid, man, you roll up and you actually talk to the prostitutes and, hey, what how much is it, or what you're doing and stuff like that. And they would complain, they would sit there because, when a woman will always complain, if there's a male around that she could actually dump her complaint to, she'll do it, right? And I sit up there and I talk to them, right, and say, I can't sell nothing right now because, I used to sell it for $35-$40, and these, competing against chicks are selling it for $5. And it just drove them right out of business. And that's what's going to happen when you dump that many women on the street that have to compete for the few dollars that they're actually going to be out there, because there aren't going to be that many guys that are going to be doing that much better to be able to afford all these chicks. It's not going to happen.
Well, I'm gonna say this. Not only will you see an abundance of
money call. Appreciate it, MLR.
Yeah, thank you, MLR.
We're on the stroll today, man. But not only that, I suggest that we might even see somewhat of a renaissance going back into women trying to compete or actually be competitive again in their non-sexual abilities. Okay. Because if everybody's offering sex, what else do you? And I can get it for like a comic book.
Right.
The only difference, the comic book actually increases in value, but so what else do you bring to the table? Like, it's going to be something like Vietnam, or Southeast Asia, where a lot of those soldiers basically rented out to women to clean their clothes, to fix their little quarters, and also to have sex with. So you're going to see a lot of that, like you had a maid, but now you're going to see like, a duo, like a makeshift wife or makeshift maid. Like they're going to have to cook for you.
So
you're going to see a lot of that.
But America's still a puritanical country, man. Don't sleep. It is, and you got a lot of people who, and I think it's a fake puritanical country. Right. But at the same time, they want to save face and perceive, themselves, and want others to perceive them as, a wholesome Christian nation. And especially on the right. I don't think the left has an issue with this as much as the right. There are feminists, who are for free sexual expression and, prostitution, but that's part of the body positivity movement as well. But I just don't see it, man. I just don't see these do-gooders, man. These good old white boys, man, saying, okay, yeah, let's just put a stamp of approval on this. Let's have some brothels.
When I was shocked when Maine passed a basically what they call it, the decriminalized law on prostitution. Maine, okay, can't get more puritanical than Maine.
I get it, but it's a difference between decriminalizing something in order to spare women the horrors of having to deal with a criminal record related to prostitution. And it's another thing to not be able to go after the Johns. I mean, so the Johns still get, if I'm not mistaken, if you're a John and you're paying for sex, then you still have the capacity to get a record, correct?
Yeah, you do.
So, but the woman, in some terms, yes, some terms, no. Because now when they decriminalize something, let's say marijuana in Baltimore, if it's under 10 grams, you get a citation.
Speak up a little, Charles.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Like for marijuana in Baltimore, if it's under 10 grams, you get a citation. So you don't get arrested. You have to pay the citation. But if it's over 10 grams, you're subject to arrest. So I think we're still looking at how are they going to judge this completely? Is it going to be a certain, like, if we catch you before there's a sexual act, if we catch you in the middle of it or after, it's gonna have to have some type of context to it.
Yeah, and if you start going after the Johns and whatnot, then you ruining the whole reason for decriminalize it. You want them to be able to actually support themselves. It's the reason that they're doing it.
Well, just real quick, Marcus, I shot you a Facebook message. Come on up, brother. Ian, I appreciate that suggestion. But anyway, continue on, fellas.
Well, here's my other question, and I just want to pose it to the panel. Most women who are prostitutes or who take this route, they do it either because it's quick cash, it's easy, or they do it because they have to do it,
right,
because they have no other recourse. They don't have any skills, or maybe perhaps they do it. So let me say 3 reasons: either it's the quick come up, or it's done out of bare necessity, or they're being forced to do it, like sex trafficking or something like that. Okay. Wouldn't it just be better, man, to have a system with a safety net to where nobody has to actually do this?
It would be, but this is America.
I'm just saying, like,
it's America.
I'm just saying, like,
we did. It was called welfare, but then you find out people can't afford the amount of people on it.
Yeah, at some point your welfare system is going to get overloaded, and even when it was a smaller, a smaller population like black people, a small minority of black people actually getting dumped on the street like that. I saw the effects of what happened as far as just prostitution and the price of prostitution. This is going to be a whole lot larger than that. It's going to be a whole lot larger than that, and this is something we have never seen before. I mean, outside of a third world country like Venezuela.
Is this
better move to France?
Well, the thing is, Venezuela, it got so bad in Venezuela, the prostitutes had to leave to prostitute because they couldn't make any money in Venezuela. They had to leave and go to Colombia and become prostitutes.
And by the way, fellas, shocking as it may seem, not the desperate or the unskilled labor are the only people prostituting, by the way. Yeah, that's true. Let me put it to you this way. There's a lot of service women.
Yeah.
There's a lot of government city workers.
Yeah.
Making ends meet.
Not just making ends meet, is to get the extras, the extra ribs, instead of having bologna sandwiches, what would you prefer? You want to get a little bit of shrimp and lobster too, with a little steak. Porterhouse.
No, that's real.
Instead of white bread, you're getting brioche, huh?
Getting brioche and whole grain wheat.
You're talking about white collar jobs, nurses.
I'm saying nurses.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to open up a Patreon to tell some stories. Man, I'm gonna tell you what. Stop thinking it's all these little desperate little girls who were forced into the sex trafficking.
Right,
man.
Yeah, well, they're closer to the high end though. Yeah. So we're talking about but the low end is going to bring down the price of the high end. And I've seen it personally, so I know what's going to happen if they don't do something, if they don't do what Dr. Gigi says. It's going to happen, and they're not. Evidently, they're out of bullets, so it's going to happen. It's going to happen. We're going to have to see how it plays out. Hopefully, it doesn't look like Sodom and Gomorrah. They actually do something to house these women and these kids, but to feed their kids, a woman will actually hit that street, man, and they will flood the market.
And by the way, you use sex trafficking in the word bullet, so I do have to respond with giggity.
But this is deep though, because I think we have a situation where there are many women that never imagined it would get to this point. I think overall they've gotten comfortable with the idea that there's some institution that's going to step in, because this is what we've seen, at least since the 1950s, the 60s. We've seen institutions that women have been able to tap into to a greater degree than men to keep their feet off the ground on some level or another. And so with the decline in the stability of that, You know, what are we facing? What is it that people aren't really seeing?
Well, basically is that, you know, normally you only see this in a third world country where you see women on the street willing to do whatever for a candy bar. I mean, they did that after Germany in World War II, right? I used to hear guys that were, you know, former services members talking about just, you know, pulling up and getting a girl just for something to eat.
Yeah, I mean,
we saw that
what
a few
happened.
years ago.
Look what happened in look what happened when the Nazis invaded France.
Yeah,
the women were flocking to the Nazis. You know, women are attracted. See, a lot of guys who get mad when I do shows about game, you know, those are not my best numbers of shows. I tell them women love power. They love where the power is. If money is power, if your physical stature is power, they're going to flock to it. And you're looking at women who are taught what's better than having your own money, spend someone else's. Even if they're not in the desperate, they're gonna look for where the money is. Like just like men, women are loyal to their options.
Yeah.
Well, but you know, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, here's the weird thing about this, right? Most of this has been the result of social engineering and women's liberation, right? All of this, for the most part. You know, we're talking about, what, 150 years removed from Victorian England, where if you were a woman, you would be married. Bottom line, just love or no love, you are going to get married, okay? This is your goal and function in life, and so therefore, there's a place for you to gain support, to have some sort of structure and help and protection and, you know, some sort of social safety net in your life. But they just removed that social safety net. And so now this is a worse position than I would perceive it as. I mean, where you have to be used like a thing. You're no longer dedicated duty bound to a role. Now you have to sell your body. Or you have to do something that is less than, you know, befitting of a human being in order to survive.
Like Dr. Neal said, she destroyed the contract.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know, they have to decide what's best. You know, I don't know, man. I just look at, there's so many men out here. I guarantee you, man, there's gonna be some men out here like, baby, you don't have to like police. What's his name? Sting. You don't have to sell your body to the night, Roxanne. They're gonna come in,
Roxanne.
They're gonna come in, man. Somebody gonna swoop in with that cake, bro.
I would check. Like I said, you're probably not old enough, but the thing is, I saw it in person. Okay, I saw this in person. They flooded the market so much. There's not going to be enough guys to catch all these women. Just not. I've seen this before. So hopefully, only the government can actually prevent this. Okay, and if they can't, it's going to happen.
And I have to ask you intellectual fellas, this: do you think that the hubris of females also contributes to this?
Oh yes.
Because they thought they would be so secure in their little desk jobs, automation. Hell, COVID and automation, you know, won the tag team championship last year. It showed them. Think about it. December alone, 144,000 women lost their jobs. Just all women. And I'm looking at it like, wow, like y'all really making yourself obsolete out there. Like you have no other reason. You basically, like you said earlier, you destroyed the contract. You gave men no reason to trust you anymore. So what skills do you provide for a man?
Well, and in some respects, you know, reveled in pushing men out of the family because they had other means, right? So that's one of the things we saw in the 70s, the celebration of independent motherhood and the celebration of removing men. And I talked about this a couple shows ago where even women I know were celebrating not having to let a man have any decision-making capability in 2021, not 1976. In 2021, celebrating not having a man have any power or influence over how the child is raised or the household is run. So this has been a long-standing practice. But one of the reasons that I wanted to put this panel together and put this subject out on the table is, y'all, our channels are about Black men mostly. And for me, there's always this question for me of what Black men need to look out for, what we need to say to protect brothers. So in that respect, one of the questions I'm posing is, with this development, what are the things that we need to be mindful of as brothers? And I think what was raised, in the discussion as well as in the comments, was the blowback when it comes to men getting the big head call, men getting, all of a sudden this performance of some modicum of respect or appreciation in exchange for material support. The phone calls you're getting, the texts, the emails from people you haven't heard from in years. I want to put those things in context. And I'm not saying that it's all got to be, just pure manipulation, but I do want to at least put that on the table, because as these shifts, because we saw this happen last year, and it's happening in waves, but as these things happen, I want to be mindful of what Black men need to consider, in regard to this, because it's going to come like a tidal wave in my assumption.
This is going to be business, man. It's not going to, got to realize it's not about love. This is about business. This is about survival, and this is old school. We've made marriage and relationships into something about love and companionship and stuff like that. But back in the day, there was business. Okay, this is about survival, her survival and yours. Okay, and that's what it's going to come back to. She's not coming to you because all of a sudden she wants to have this loving relationship. I mean, it can develop into that. But the thing is that she's going to pick the men that she's already comfortable with first before she works her way down.
Well, let me welcome to the panel, Keep It 100. And I want everybody to know, support each of these brothers' panels. I mean, their shows, their channels. Support each one. So I'll let you guys, announce your channels toward the end. I want people to support
Marcus.
But let's get, we got Keep It 100 in here. What's up, man? Can you hear us?
Is your mic on?
I don't think his mic is on.
Okay, his mic's not on. Okay. Yeah, he'll get his mic together.
Okay. Can't hear you, man.
Yeah, you're muffled.
Yeah, but my thing is for brothers, man. I just, you got to understand what the average man's mind goes through as he matures from a young boy into a man, especially. When I was young, I grew up in the 70s, okay? 70s, 80s. By the 90s, I had graduated from college and had begun my, my career, okay? But the expectation was, okay, you're going to find a woman, you're going to fall in love,
right?
You're going to get married, you're going to have children. This is that strange era in which, R&B was still, the predominant paradigm, and then hip hop was just burgeoning. Right. And then, you got the strange hybrid between R&B and hip hop, the New Jack Swing. And, we thought that we were going to have long-standing, long-term families.
Right.
These young kids, man, I guarantee you, they don't think like that now. They're thinking to themselves, like, especially young men, man, it's just better to smash and dash. But men still want a pair bond, though, especially when they have children. Most men want to have children because they want a legacy. Okay. But now we live in a social environment in which it's so very difficult for men to actually fulfill the destiny of creating a legacy, because women have all of the power in their court. They have the laws in their favor. They have social mores in their favor. They have organizations which promote their interests, and you're just like, you're standing by yourself and you don't know how to make sense of it. Everything that's about being a man is taken away from you today. And so I say, I still can't trust it, man. all the big head. Let's get, let's bond and congeal. They still can step away too easily and leave you in a whirlwind.
Yeah,
and it's good when it's good, when people can understand. Okay, this is an agreement between you and I. It's a contract,
right?
But it's a long-term contract. This is not a weasel out of it contract because you're upset about some stupid stuff. Okay, it's not a contract that you weasel out of because now you got some new D in your life or something like that. This is a long-term contract where I require your fidelity and loyalty, and you require the same of me to some extent. And if you decide, okay, well, we're going to step out or whatever the case may be, you still understand where the true loyalty lies. Nowadays, it's just everybody is for their damn self. And if you're for yourself, you can have a prenup, whatever the case may be. And I encourage men to do that.
Right.
But still, it all depends on what state you get married. I'm not an attorney, but I've seen horror stories where men have had prenups nullified, because of extenuating circumstances. It's just not a buyer's market for marriage for men. It's a terrible market for men. Everything to gain is in the hands of women. And so I talked about what the start of this was. When you had the Care of Infants Act in 1837, that changed the game forever. Women have custody of the children now. When men had primary custody of children, what's the issue? Like, there is no issue. But men are being required to take care of children that they have no impact over.
Right.
That's the rub. And I just don't think it's it never was a good decision. It was always a bad decision for the legislators to make that move. And now we're stuck with it. Unless there's go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say in recently in the last couple of years, I started to see this back to femininity movement in the Black community. Where they had women and women's channels, and they were promoting femininity. They were decrying the problems of feminism. They were pushing the notion of the married family, the nuclear family. And I started to have an inkling of hope until I heard that turn to get the bag. It started out with back to femininity, and then it became get the bag. And one of the things I thought about when I saw this, I said, because at that time, this was about 2 years ago, they were pressing, if you marry a woman and if you push her to work, you're going to masculinize her. So in order to keep her feminine, she needs to stay at home. And as I looked at it, I said, well, alimony is actually pretty low. It's child support that's hitting us. But if we start having these marriages again where she's not working from the jump, upon divorce, you're really seeing the potential rise of alimony all over again. So I'm saying until the policies change, and this speaks to Gigi's point, until the policies actually change, men just find themselves vulnerable at every turn. But Marcus, can we hear you? Is your mic on?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm just
Okay, I just want to make sure you were able to be heard at this point. So feel free to jump in, man.
Oh well, I'm listening right now because I'm trying to get a feel of where the conversation is right now. I mean,
we're talking about the end of OnlyFans and what's that going to mean? As far as working girls that can't work digitally anymore.
Oh man!
And what Black men need to be aware of coming into this era, this moment.
So shout out to Graves because he's the one that informed me that you guys were having this discussion. I was over at the Sister George thing that they got going on right now, talking about is there a shortage of good Black women? That's their yeah.
Which there is, but yeah.
A shortage? I didn't know there were still any left.
I mean, Miss George disagrees, but this topic that you guys are discussing is kind of like connected to that, to be honest.
Okay.
The funny thing about OnlyFans, because I'm in that business.
Okay.
And I have an OnlyFans. You understand what I'm saying? And the funny thing about that whole thing is it kind of bugged me out to see these girls that were too good to wear thongs in my publication playing with dildos now.
Okay.
is just crazy to me, but not really that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because these they'll bust it open for Zaddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, and let me just say, the good brother is verifiably, he works in the industry. I've sampled some of his work. It's really well done. I'm trying to I'm trying to get him to let me come study this as a scholar and do some research.
So it's good to be an understudy, huh?
He won't let me come out and study.
If you were close to LA.
He won't let me come out and study, but he is verifiably in the industry doing his thing. So I just want to put that on the table.
So I know girls who are getting real money, real money, and I'm not gonna lie and say I'm not envious. I've seen this money that they're getting. You know what I mean? And it has, at this point, because of OnlyFans. I mean, Instagram is one thing, but OnlyFans kind of made it like impossible for us to work with some of these girls. Man, the hubris is ridiculous. I mean, to come face to face with a lot of these girls, you can't tell them anything. So what I'll say is this, right? Especially, and you guys probably touched on some of the things that I'm about to say, but we saw the pandemic happen, right? And we saw how women responded to that. If you take this away, it's about to be the Hunger Games.
He said the Hunger Games.
You understand what I'm saying? It's gonna be the Hunger Games.
Katniss.
I mean, they took what is that? Back page. They took that out.
Yeah, they took that out. Yeah.
They're gonna have to hit the track.
We just said that. We did. BGS has been saying that.
They're gonna have to hit the track, bro. They're gonna have to hit the streets. It's gonna be the resurgence of pimps and everything like that. Man, I just came from New York, man, and over in Brooklyn, they got this street called Pennsylvania Avenue. It's popping right now. You understand? I took a cab from over there, and just hit the track. And it is very, you would imagine that in 2021, the street stuff would die, but it's not. It's going to come back in a major way if, when they take these things away, and, we are still in this thing that we're in.
But then the question is, Marcus, are there alternative outlets for them to be, like, for instance, like, say, for example, YouTube went out of business, or YouTube disallowed people to create personal content. Well, we could just go to Vimeo, or we could go to some other outlet. Will there not be another outlet where women could just take their services and provide them elsewhere? And how difficult would that be for them to make the switch?
See, OnlyFans is just the newest version of, because they're not the first. You had Connect Pal, and they shut down. Then you have Cam Soda. Cam Soda is still a thing. I don't know what the cut is on Cam Soda, but I mean, the girls. At the end of the day, there's if there isn't, there will be. Put it that way. There will be another. There will always be another platform for them to, bust it open for the bread, especially online. It's always going to be that.
Precisely. So what we're doing, what we're saying is that these outlets will never be obsolete. This is a form of pornography that's here to stay. And
this is one caveat though. It's really about how much they get from the transaction. And not only that, because there's all these things that they got to go through to be verified, et cetera, et cetera. Then what's the other thing? There's the tax thing and this and that. I mean, because of OnlyFans, and all the money that these girls have made from it, whatever comes after it is not going to be the same. They're going to really jump on whatever comes in the future in a different way. You're going to find the government is going to be either hands in the pocket, or they're going to do what they did to these online platforms where you could book girls or whatever the case may be, where it's like this protection, like, you know, what is it, trafficking or this, that, and the third or whatever. There's gonna be is not gonna be like OnlyFans, and OnlyFans isn't even what it used to be because one of them porn stars messed it up and it had a bunch of chargebacks. So I don't know if you know this story, BGS. You might know it. Girl, some girl. She promised a bunch of guys, if you do this, I'll get on here and do this, and she didn't do it, and these guys hit them with chargebacks. So now it's the limit on what you can do, et cetera, et cetera. So these companies have to do whatever they can to protect themselves. They know the girls are going to make money, so I don't think the cut is going to be the same. And this is going to be a changeover period for, like Gigi, you said there will be another one in the future. There's going to be a changeover period from OnlyFans to whatever comes next, where they're going to be hurt.
Yeah. Well, you know, look, let me just say this, man. From one brother to another, to all my brothers out there, and to the brothers on the panel, man.
Dude, man.
I hate to say this, man. I don't want to sound crass. Stop paying to see these women bust it open, man.
Yeah, good luck.
I mean, I can't do it. I'm just saying, I don't have the disposable income to pay somebody I have no connection to other than a virtual connection. I don't see paying them. I just don't see it. Okay. Now, if that's what you want to do with your spare cash, fine. Okay. If that floats your boat, if it flies you to the moon like Frank Sinatra, I can't stop you. Okay. You know, if that's where your anima is, as BGS says, you know, that what tickles your unconscious mind. My God, man. But look, these kind of activities for men create a whole host of personal problems to begin with, man. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that you can't, like, dude, all dudes are doing is sitting and watching these images and jacking off to them, bro.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not gonna sit here and tell men what they can and can't do with their phalluses, okay? That's not the point, man. I'm just saying, you know, fapping all day, bro. And paying the fat man. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, I mean, you know, and then like all I'm saying is, man, the shit is free anyway, bro. All you gotta do is go to any website, man. It's like hit after hit after hit after hit.
Marxist can tell you it's not the same.
Hey G, I'm gonna tell you this, bro. As someone who has sold a lot of this content for the past like almost going on 15 years, I'm gonna tell you, it ain't us, bro. Let me tell you something. Like, I've sold a lot of magazines to towns that I've never heard of in my life, man. You got to understand, we're in pockets, the metropolitan pockets. The rest of the country, it's just like with gangster rap or rap. When these dudes was going like 10 times platinum, that's not
white people was buying the music. So
that's not So I think that because we see black women making all this money, we make the connection to black men. And it's not us, bro. I'm not saying no black men subscribe. I'm saying, bro, these chicks are making serious bank. And like you said, most of us are trying to get it for free.
Yeah. And those are the chicks at the top end. Okay. We're not talking about the chicks at the bottom end.
Yeah.
That aren't making anything. Like Marcus gets it, you know, he gets near top flight talent. But the thing is, what about the regular chick, the single mother that's on welfare that decides to hook up a camera?
She ain't popping no way though.
You know who I feel bad for? Not really, but not really, right? The girl who has decided, like you said, to do an OnlyFans. Now she on there going wild, going crazy. She's not making nothing, right? And now if OnlyFans was to switch gears, you're a porn star now. You can't go back to what you were before. It's out there. We got it, and you know.
Yeah. You were a nurse, a CNA, a nurse,
but
what? Go ahead.
Kim Kardashian. I don't get it, man. I don't understand the mentality of these guys right now who are making excuse me, I'm sorry, man. I said, look, they are literally taking bust downs and turning them into women of virtue. Like, that's the shit to go for. I don't understand it, man. I don't understand how you could, as like one of the richest black men in the country, Kanye West, would take that bus down and make make her his wife, man.
Oh, that's
I
easy.
just don't get it, bro.
Yeah, I get
I mean,
it.
she bad. I mean, look,
it's called $62 million from her mother. That's what it's called.
Now, okay, I get that, but I'm just saying, look, we know how that family got famous. So of course they were connected to Bruce Jenner, and then she was connected, you know, like to Johnny Cochran. Her husband was an attorney, so they were part of the elite LA crowd anyway. We get that, but damn, man, like, what's up with this new trend with guys falling in love with porn stars and strippers and stuff?
They have been okay. It's called indoctrination and socialization. That's what they have been indoctrinated since they were little boys. And they grow up with that. They get imprinted by Kim Kardashian or the Nicki Minaj or the what's her name, the Megan Thee Stallion, and they grow up with that kind of appetite. You don't get rid of that.
All right, y'all. Let's welcome Dr. Dunbar to the
Dr. Anwar Goodbar, PhD.
Hey guys, how you doing? Dr. T asked me to come up, so I could just come up for a minute. But I just wanted to second what I heard Gigi saying about 15 minutes ago. I was driving back from the gym trying to get buff like Charles. And that I think I witnessed that change in the environment as well, in terms of the expectation that, you know, you go to school, start your career, start a family, get a white picket fence. It turned out to be something very, very different. At least for me. And when I think back, one of the things that my mom states when we talk about this is that she went to college looking for a husband. And lately I've been thinking, okay, I don't think anyone was looking for me in my era. So I just wanted to say, I agree with what Gigi just said about 15 minutes ago.
All I wanted to do was do what I saw the men before me do. And their lives seemed, I mean, they weren't like perfect or anything like that, but they seemed pretty content. I mean, they had houses, they had wives, they had children. We all hung out together. We all hung out in holidays together. We had picnics. We went to Six Flags. We went to the zoo. I mean, it was a familial community. And now you look at families, man, it's a whole bunch of kids, 4 or 5 different baby daddies. You know, they live in public housing, or they live in the ratchet, you know, apartment complex buildings.
The village wife.
And well, you hook up with these young ladies and you expect, okay, they have the same kind of value system that I do, because they don't want to appear to be, you know, a gynocrat. I mean, they don't have shirts and labels and stamps on their forehead to say, I'm a gynocrat, damn it. You can't tell me what to do. I'm the boss of me and you. You're gonna be my concubine serf. They don't step to the plate like that. They step to the plate like, I want to be your woman. I want you to be my man. I want to have a family. I don't want to be tossed around. I want to be respected. And then you engage in these relationships, and as soon as you have the child, they understand, I got the power. It's like that CNC Music Factory song a long time ago. It's like a button to switch, like the script just flips.
I don't know. I just saw a picture of He-Man in my head. I'm sorry. Yeah.
How many?
And I think the only reason it's the way that it is now is because women have entered into the workforce, for one, and they've been promoted and elevated in a way that, you know, especially black men have not. 2, the legal system is set up, or family court system is set up in such a way that they can just slip in and out of divorces and not be penalized for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, the child support laws.
At the expense of men. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah.
It's not for us at this time until they rectify those policies, and until these women actually understand what loyalty and fidelity and familial life is all about. It's not going to work. And then beyond that, this is the thing that just confuses and just like baffles me. And then I swear I'm gonna withdraw and listen for a while. But one of the main reasons why Black folks aren't able to build wealth is because we're not building wealth together. You have all of these monadic families or individuals doing what they consider to be best for them. So freedom is all about negative liberty in relation to, okay, you can't tell me what to do. So that's our paramount concept of what freedom is, especially for the women now. Okay. It's not freedom in terms of self-realization within the context of a family structure or a community. It's just freedom in the context of, I can't be told what to do. But at the consequences, the negative externality of that is we're not building healthy children. We're not building wealth for future generations to be able to take, the reins over and to compound that into something larger and more fulfilling and substantive later on.
What you're referring to, though, because this what it keeps bringing us back to is Moynihan's scissors. The more opportunities that we found Black women had, the further they wanted to be from Black men. You don't see that with any other group. And that's essentially what you're pointing to. Whether it came down to employment, whether it came down to state support, whether it came, or even now with philanthropic support we've seen in the last year, what we see and what we've seen historically is that the distance between Black men and women increases the more independence women have, and yet in other groups it goes the other way, and nobody wants to talk about that.
See, I said I was going to stop, but I gotta say this: you and I in academia, man. I know feminists who have husbands. Like, they'll be die-hard feminists ideologically and scholastically, but as they work through the concrete, real, empirical world, they have men that they're tethered to. Again, I had one woman who was the head of the damn Women and Gender Studies department, and she was doing all of this radical feminist work, but her husband, she hired him, and he does masculinist studies. Like, this is how this works, man. These people know, like, we're committed at the surface level to things that work institutionally for them. We're at it's like, okay, you're
talking about a white woman, right?
Exactly. I'm not talking about Black feminists. I'm talking about white feminists. Okay. Right. These women have husbands. Okay. Not all of them. I'm not saying all of them do, but the vast majority of them do, especially if they're highly educated. They have husbands, doggone it. And they have homes. They have, estates. They have planning. They have insurance, life insurance, 401ks, and all of that. We are just moving from one relationship to the next, predicated upon this idea of romantic love. I guess they are. Black women are, or this idea that I can't be reined in. I can't be told what to do. I won't submit. But it's like, okay, what are you not submitting to? It's not submitting to the man. It's submitting to the functionality of the familial unit so that the children can have a stable environment to grow up in and to have a healthy balance of parenting from the mother and the father, right? But I mean, in this culture, and Black culture is screwed at the moment. It's thrown right now. It just is what it is. So again, I think BGS could, elaborate on this better than I can. So you have a superficial rendering of, or extrinsic understanding of, like, say, for example, a religious concept, like Jesus died on the cross.
Right.
Okay. You can take that literally, or you could take it metaphorically and find a deeper, more esoteric meaning behind it. We take everything at face value, man. Like, okay, I can't be told what to do. Feminism provides this function. I can't be told what to do. But for them, it's a means of empowerment. They basically entered into the workforce and drove Black men out of it.
Yeah.
And they're the primary beneficiaries. They take all of that money and bring it back to their community and back to their families. And we sit there and argue over who can't tell who what to do. While they laughing at us like, boy, y'all got to be some of the most ignorant, non-foresightful people on the planet.
We're still operating under a plantation culture, whether we like it or not. All that dysfunction was built into the culture a long time ago.
Yeah, I'm falling back, so I'm gonna listen for a minute. I'm sorry.
So, Dig, what? Oh, you gotta shout that guy out. You gonna shout him out? I don't want to start.
Oh yeah, Sneak. Thank you, Sneak. He says the only way to get women in line is to let loose the transformers on them and compete for college athletic scholarships and professional sports. Oh, that's another story. Okay, and the Sage's Apprentice. Thank you for the support. Broadcasting truth will cause a sympacalypse. Sympacalypse is upon us right now, sir.
So I think that everybody on this panel is familiar with the effects of single motherhood on the children.
Oh yeah.
We've read the stats. We know all these facts, and I think that Black women have either consciously or unconsciously made these things. They've made that sacrifice. They've sacrificed the futures of the same children that they say, oh, we good mothers in this. They've sacrificed the futures of these children for their freedom. I just did a video on Black female empowerment versus Black empowerment. And I think that Black female empowerment comes at the expense of Black empowerment.
Yeah, it does.
And
a Black future, because women are focused on the immediate. They're not focused on 5, 10, 15 years down the road or what's good for the entire formation of the culture. They're focused on what their little nest and what's good for them. But that's intrinsic to female.
Now,
that's female behavior. Men think in legacy. That's why women make pretty poor leaders. They don't think long term or altruistically. They don't think about the whole group. They just think about themselves.
Yeah, society is man-made. It's not woman-made.
No.
That's why.
As a matter of fact, when you look at people got offended, even at my job, when I said women make poor leaders, one of the male sergeants was like, man, that's a sexist remark. I said, okay, tell me one good historical female leader you know. You can't even answer.
Yeah, there's patriarchy.
Besides you.
Patriarchy.
See, the crazy part about it, patriarchy gives them the privilege to even say, I am a strong woman.
Yeah.
And people don't like to hear that. Because guess what? If women were this is the one thing I always told women all the time. Even at the job, if you think y'all so strong and capable, just like I told that one female officer, if you think you're so strong and capable, you try to tell me women did the heavy lifting at the police department you were at? Oh, you try to tell me women do the heavy lifting in the military? Why don't we make an all-female special forces team, send you out on missions, and we'll just watch the casualties?
Oh, but see, to me, it's not an issue of damn, what is that? It's not an issue of whether or not a given individual woman can lead. I've seen women, lead and do well as far as that on an individual basis. To me, the question comes down to the solipsism that I notice in the culture of women. Now, meaning in the academy, when you see, especially with Black women, when you see Black women in a position of leadership, one of the first things I see them do is prioritize other Black girls and women.
Yeah.
So without discussing it, it's not like okay, well, I'm chairing this department and we're going to set up this parameter straight for Black women and girls because the numbers are such and such. No, it's I'm in a position of leadership, and then you just see girls and women elevate and boys and men downgrade, and there's no discussion about it. Appreciate that support, man, Friday. And so when it's brought to bear that this is having an adverse effect on men and boys, particularly Black men and boys, there's a cognitive dissonance. There's just a blank look, and then it continues. So to me, that's where I go. I have to question the culture of it, because it seems so look at what we were talking about recently in the last few months when we started to see this rise in philanthropy toward BLM and toward Black women in general. When you really look at these private companies that are putting this funding into place, one of the things you notice is they'll have a high-level woman working in these companies that's initiating the logic of this as far as the framework of it. no reflection whatsoever on how many men, black men, are employed at these companies. There's, we don't have a communal solidarity unless it comes to shaming black men. But short of shaming, that communal solidarity goes out the window, and the priority becomes other women and girls because they're operating with this Western white feminist notion that there's a black patriarchy oppressing black women. And therefore, to make up for the difference of this historically, we have to propel them into the foreground, even though statistically they're already in the foreground. And their own sons are failing out of schools, and there's an obliviousness to that. So for me, I come back to the solipsism. I come back to the notion that no one seems to exist but other women and girls when you have this kind of leadership we're talking about. And that to me is one of the fundamental problems.
Yeah, I call it, I compare it to the trickle down theory, where if you empower men, then they in turn support women and children. But if you empower women, that success or that power doesn't come back to men and children. It stays with women.
Mm-hmm.
It stays with women. It doesn't help the community. I'll say this, right? The Black Panther Party, where most of the leaders were men, when you had the civil rights movement, where most of the people involved were men, most of the people at the top, the names you know about, were men. In the Panther Party in particular, what did you see? You saw programs and things like that for the community. And I can't find a single person to tell me what the woman-ran BLM has done for black people. And well, so go ahead.
No, I'm going to say this, and I gotta drop down. I'm sure Dr. Johnson and Gigi have seen this. BGS, you heard me say this before. Charles, you may have to know. When I was going to get my PhD, I want to find a job. I wanted to create an income for myself and some independence. But when I look around, when I see the women getting their degrees, it's like it creates like a God complex. So it's all about them. It's all about the glorification of them and them pontificating and propping themselves up. So I think, we definitely see that in academia as well.
Yeah. I mean, even if you bring up BLM, that is the perfect example to my point. It took, especially heterosexual black male life, and they prioritized black women, girls, and LGBT at every turn. That's the solipsism I'm talking about. How do you identify another demographic and then prioritize yourself? If we're talking about communal uplift, which was the wolf in sheep's clothing that they came in with, right? The idea was about black communal uplift. The idea, and peace to Dr. Dunbar, thanks for coming up, man. The idea was, because when we were introduced to Black Lives Matter, look at the term, Black lives. They didn't say black women's lives, black LGBT lives. They said black lives, and they seemed to congregate around black men killed by police officers or vigilantes, right? Well, the underlying subtext is that these are black folk, and we're talking about a black communal uplift agenda. But at every turn, especially when you saw them get resources and direct those resources to a specific target, none of it had to do with the very men that are being killed. That's the solipsism I'm pointing to. That's it. That's it.
You can't have Alice Walker running your black movement.
There it is.
You understand what I'm saying? When I talk to women about this, they defend. They tell you, oh, you hate black women if you question what Patrisse Cullors and her people are doing, and where's the money, and et cetera, and things like that. I mean, imagine running a breast cancer movement where the money did not go towards breast cancer, or any other analogy that I can. A breast cancer. I'm sorry.
No, continue. That was something on my computer. My apologies.
Yeah, so you have a breast cancer movement where the money didn't go to breast cancer. It went to vasectomies for men, or some male issue. That would be shut down. Or if BLM itself were run by black men, it wouldn't be what it is.
You know, and that's an analogy I've actually used in my writing before, because when you look at it, you know, both black men and women get breast cancer, but for black men, it's somewhere between 2 and 4%, 1 and 4%, something like that. What we saw with BLM, as far as the numbers on police killing black folk, if you break it down by gender, it would be the equivalent of black men running a breast cancer institution and only extending grants and, you know, or research for black male victims of breast cancer. It makes no damn sense.
Well, I'll give you another one. If you look at the top 10 causes of death in any demographic in this country, homicide is number 4 for black men. It's not even in the top 10 for anyone else. Anyone else. So when these women come to me talking about, well, what about, you know, what aboutism? What about trans lives? Or what about this? And what about this person? What, you know, to me, that's the equivalent of all lives matter or blue lives matter or something like that. When no demographic, and you look it up, no demographic in this country other than black men has homicide in their top 10 causes of death.
Absolutely.
So this is an issue for us. Our house is burning, right? Even whether it be in the greater scheme of things or even in our community, our house is burning, black men's.
Yeah, and let me just say this. So, you know, I'm glad that BGS posted that video today with Curry on it. And, you know, and we've been saying this in our own way. Doc Johnson's been saying it. I've been saying it. BGS has been saying it. I mean, I think the manosphere in general has been saying this in the best way that it can. You have a narrative which paints all men as evil, okay? Like the source of all exploitation, pathology, you know, oppression, domination. So all men are stigmatized in this way, okay? And the people who started this narrative were white women. And we find it odd insofar as these were the same group of women who were involved in the colonial project and in the, you know, the antebellum slavery project. Okay. They were integral. They were a part of Jim Crow. They were a part of segregation. They spit on children trying to desegregate schools. I'm talking about white women. Okay. They were the people who sought expeditiously to reinstate the solvency of the South by means of the Daughters of Confederacy. I mean, these women were an integral part of sustaining the race-based project. And here they come and cast themselves as minorities with the wave of a wand. And the true tale is that the people who've been abused the most, who've been stigmatized the most, who've been subjected to violence the most, now take on the title of the very same group of people who actually oppress them. And the quickness, you know, the wholesale dismissal of black men by black women by means of attaching themselves to feminism, it just gives them an excuse to leave us out in the cold and to favor policies that advantage themselves. But the question is, does it really advantage them in the long run? And does it actually advantage the vast majority of black women? I don't think it does. Now, it advantages a certain elite group of black women. Like Black Lives Matter, that woman got away with a lot of cash. And the members of the organization who were doing grassroots work and who thought that they were going to receive a disbursement of funds so they could actually institute programs to help, they were left out in the cold as well, because the way that organization was established and the way these women thought, they only cared about their own damn bag. They only thought about their own pockets. So at the end of the day, what we're resisting against is a narrative, a discourse, a framing of reality itself that basically postulates that black men are a problem. Like we're worse than white folks. We're worse than colonialists and plantation owners and the members of the Klan. We're those type of guys. That's the way we're typecast.
Right.
The question is, how long will this persist? How long can this last? How long will it be before men begin to take up their own issues? But the simpism is hard, boy. I'm telling you.
I have a question for everybody. What male, especially black men, in a good goddamn mind, would still trust black women overall in this day and age?
The ones that have been trained to do it.
And even after this shit, that shit comes in like a fireball. Even after this shit, I'll talk to friends of mine, and they'll be like, "Well, you hate," even though they're joking, or "You hate on black women." But even when I talk to my boy Derek, even he got complaints about his wife. I said, "Did you vet her to see if she's a wife?" And I said, "Here's the problem. You never required her to do shit. You never required her to do a goddamn thing. And you're like the average black man." I like to coin a phrase of this smart motherfucker right now. I don't simp for free. You want my conversation cost, okay? So when it comes to even interacting with me, you know, I believe in the book of Ted DiBiase. Everybody's got a price, and I know mine. So I'm like, and it dawns on me because I'll have a bunch of detractors on my channel, just like you fellas do, and I'll tell them I got more out of women I never had sex with and my ex-girlfriends than you do out of your current girlfriends and wives. I will never go hungry because I could make a phone call to 5 different chicks right now and get 5 different plates or money to get it. And I'm like, you trust these people and they crush you each and every time. They crush it. They crush your dreams. They crush your hopes. They crush your heart, and you still trust them. You still trust them unwittingly. Like, these are the same dudes who, if you saw in the street, will give you all kinds of visceral and anger. But for them not to look at black women or any woman openly is a Herculean task. Okay, it's like, I like to use this word from Gigi. It's laborious. You know, it's such hard work and difficulty for them to see the truth. I'm like, either you're that stupid, or you just like the abuse you get.
Well, I'll say this, bro. Black men have been trained from birth to lionize, to honor, and to pedestalize women. Now, I mean, do we not do it sometimes? Yes. Do we bitch and complain at times? Yes. Do we use derogatory language at times? Yes, we do that. But for the most part, we perceive women as our better halves, for rightly or wrongly. Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were told.
We perceive them as people who are loving, nurturing, and caring. And, you know, all things being equal, ceteris paribus, they'll do the right thing. They'll do what's in the interest of the group and the children before they'll do what's in their own best interest. But we have to realize, look, this is what the red pill is about. It's not about demonizing women. It's not about, you know, stigmatizing women. It's about reality. And the reality is women are human beings, and they err, and they have moral flaws just like anybody else does. But the difference is, right now we have a system that's willing to endorse and to support all kinds of narcissism and chicanery and foolery, man. And that's the point, man. That's the issue. And until men stand up to it and have what I consider, it's a matter of hermeneutics. It's a matter of being able to interpret your own reality. And one of the primary reasons why men can't do it is because for the past 60 years, they got TV shows, movies, you know, you have academic programs, you have, you know, organizations that are telling you incessantly, there's something wrong with you. There's a problem with you. You're toxic. You're a misogynist. Right. You're You're inherently problematic. You're domineering. You're controlling. You're abusive. But we never sit back to take the time and say, is this an accurate depiction of reality? And men, when they come together and they begin to share their experiences, they learn, hey, man, I'm not just going through this by myself. Maybe there's something to the idea that, the story we've been told, the narrative we've been given, is not actually true. What purpose does it serve? Whose interest does it serve? And why are we being made to, be proselytized to? And why are we just soaking this up like a wet biscuit? Why are we not being critical? Why are we not asking questions? And it's about asking questions. And that's why I love the Black Manosphere. At least we're willing to ask the questions on our own terms, to make evaluations and judgments on our own terms. And it doesn't matter if we're wrong. It doesn't matter if, sometimes we're crass in our explanations and our, descriptions of what we're going through. We have a right, just like any other group of people, to do what philosophically would be called phenomenology, to make sense of our experiences, and whether they be feelings, whether they be thoughts, whether they be whatever it is. I mean, it doesn't matter whether the feelings be emotional, whether they be physical. We have a right to explore our own understanding of the world and interpret it on our own terms. And we have the capacity, we should have the capacity to speak unwaveringly and arrogantly, just like any other group of people. And I think that, we've been made to fall on that sword, so much so that it's not doing anybody any good. It's not doing us any good. It's not even doing the women any good at this point.
Right. Now, I want to let people know, especially in the comments section, I do not tolerate misandry. I don't. If I see someone in there coming in, talking down men, especially Black men, unless you're having a conversation regarding the data, if it's just derogatory and especially anti-male, it's gone. And I boot that person. So if somebody just got booted, I'm letting y'all know. I'm going to allow for about, I'd say about 5 people to come up and make a brief statement. You can make a statement about the topic, or you can respond to an individual on the platform. We're just going to do that for a short period of time. I promised I'd get a few people in. So I'm going to go ahead and put it, it's for those of you that are not on YouTube, it's going to be in the YouTube chat. I'm posting the StreamYard link. I'm going to let about 5 people through. You can make a brief statement and then come on up. And like I said, it can either be on the topic, or it can be to respond to someone on the platform in terms of something they've said, hopefully today. So if you got some long-standing questions that have to do with something from last year, I recommend you go to these brothers' channels and you engage that in that way. So first up, we got the 18th letter. What's up? Can you hear us?
Hello, how you brothers doing today? Hello, how you doing today, Dr. T. Hasan Johnson?
Doing well.
What's up? What's up?
I was just coming in because I was listening to the show, and just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate your channel for being able to give Black men a voice from this situation that we've been combating for decades at a time. And as far as like a lot of these situations, especially with the OnlyFans situation, I think women have definitely had a false sense of security based off of this whole feminism thing. And a lot of them are, and a lot of those bridges are starting to get burned as far as, when it comes to, things like the OnlyFans, like the representation of being able to put down Black men in the media and various things like that, because now we are finally getting a chance where our voices are able to be heard, and a lot of us are having the same grievances. And like I've seen your community posts where, like, I've seen the one YouTube channel of the divester with the noose hanging around the Black man's neck on the tree. And a lot of these so-called divestors saying that they want Black men to die and just be eradicated off of earth. Just real sick illness, you know. And I don't know if I'm dealing with a black woman, a Klansman impersonating a black woman or what, because it seems like that's what we're dealing with these days. And I don't really know much to say about that. You've had situations where you have a lot of these women sitting here and they look down on black men for dating interracially and various things like that. But a lot of the times they really just upset because their preference of men, which is majority white men, because when you hear them talk, they never say other races of men. They mostly just go straight to white men. A lot of these men are not checking for them because they're interested in preserving their bloodline and make sure that they pass on their economic wealth to, you know. And
no, I appreciate that, and I think you raised a number of significant points, especially, and I feel you when you have to wonder, are these agents or these individual people? Where I draw the line is how many times I see something retweeted, reposted, liked. You know what I mean? That's where I start to get curious, because I agree that I don't know who these people are or what they're pushing, but at the end of the day, a lot of this is highly problematic. So, any final word before we let the next person up?
yes, I just wanted to say I appreciate your channel once again. Just to being able to come in and listen to your videos that you've produced, being able to hear from your perspective on things, your analyzation on how your analyzation and breaking down things as far as regarding this issue with a lot of black women in our community, because black men have been dealing with this for a very long time, and it's almost like you know, everybody's against us. You got our own women against us, you know, you got other black men against you, you got racism, white supremacy against you, you got other minority groups against you. So being able to hear you guys talk about these situations and being able to expose a lot of these fallacies that's been going on within our community is a breath of fresh air. And that's all I had to say.
Oh man, I appreciate you, man. All right, thank you. I'm gonna take you down, and let me go ahead and bring up. This is Mr. O. Mr. O, you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Dr. T. Johnson. Good evening, BGS and the rest of the panel. I'm a huge followers of yours on YouTube and Facebook. It's an honor to be able to grace this platform. Going on topic, I believe that modern adult film industry and OnlyFans has basically demoralized the whole entire, not community, also the whole society in general, because with this amount of debauchery and degeneracy among us, it's like the mighty has fallen. Even your conventional celebrities, high and low. I mean, we have Vanessa from the Bernie Mac show on OnlyFans twerking and doing all type of stuff, and she used to be a child star, you know, on just doing wholesome, well, not so wholesome things on the show, but still though. You get what I'm saying. This has shown that the modern young ladies and girls that's coming up, they're being bombarded with images of Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, doing the stuff in music videos. It's being watched by millions on YouTube and on BET. Our own people are actually promoting this garbage, and we just sit back as black men, like it or not, even unbeknownst to us, or even we in the know what's going on. We really can't do nothing because we ain't have the same rights as other men in this country to stand up and tell our women, like, no, this is not right. Like, come on, have some sense. Think about the kids. Think about how we got to portray an image. And I just put in a philosophy, like, I feel like we are like the lions in the zoo type of philosophy. Like when you put a lion back into its natural habitat, it has no choice but to be a lion. You know, it roams his own habitat, roam the wild, hunt and kill his own things. It's part of his DNA. When you take said lion and lioness out of their environment and put them in a cage that symbolizes their environment, but they're being watchful eyes, they being fed food instead of being able to hunt for food, and they being told what day it is, and they don't know what days can't function right. I picture that as us in this country.
Okay.
I feel like when the powers that be, they force feed us with this COVID-19 garbage, supplement us with all this, tell us to wear masks. They tell us they give us all these free food and everything. It's not the same thing how they do the cage lions in the zoo.
Okay.
That's all I wanted to say though.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming up, man. Thanks a lot. All right. We got Mr. Graves himself coming on up. What's up, Ian?
Yes, peace, brother. Peace. How you doing?
Doing well, man. How about yourself? What's on your mind?
What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you.
Man, I was thinking about, here's the thing, white supremacy and women are strategic. So I think there's going to be a reorganization with regard to OnlyFans because, and I said this in the chat, is that when you to a large degree take out the personal proximity, the personal interaction between men and women, then what you lose, what women lose is the leverage. They lose the ability to call the men perverts and all the different shaming and guilt language that they use. Because look, I'm just looking at you on the screen, so they don't get the opportunity, to demonize us that way. So basically, they got to put things back right, where men are lusting after them in the physical, so that they can actually say, I got stalkers and this and that and the third. So, that's just a perspective that I had as to why they might be wanting to shut it down, because they want to put it back to the natural order where women can actually have power, and that's through personal interaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you. And you know what? And let me take a moment to thank you publicly, because you've been on point for a long time now. My brother comes in and is posting in the comments on the show's behalf. I just wanted to thank you, Ian. I appreciate you doing that, man. Appreciate you.
You know what I'm saying? I love you, brother. I love all you guys. Appreciate you too. Okay, keep doing that good work.
All right, much appreciated. All right. Yeah, I see we got another troll up in here. They're coming out today, boy.
Yeah, shout out to Ian, man. He often jumps in with me. Shout out to that man.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right. Well, I gave it out there. I think we've kind of exhausted that for the day. But let me ask the brothers on the panel, to give their closing thoughts on the whole OnlyFans issue, the upcoming changes in the Black community. Any final concluding thoughts you want to lead the audience with before we close out? I'll start with Officer Charles, and I'll work my way backward all the way up to BGS. That is, unless Officer Charles is
yeah, Mongo love candy.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say nothing else about it. let me go to my boy Marcus. Any final thoughts you want to transition out with, brother?
Yeah, I think Black women have this idea that their progress and future is not connected to us. And the thing about it is, the minute that these outlets get pulled from under them, we're who they have to come back to. They have to come right back to us to save them. Y'all got to pay all the bills. Y'all got to do this, do that, and build something. And they're asking us for the same patriarchy. They're saying that they don't want when the white patriarchy doesn't, or the state or whoever, Zaddy or whoever, doesn't come to their rescue. And like the man said earlier, he said, who at this point would, after everything that's happened thus far, trust the collective, not individual Black women necessarily, but the collective. And Doc, me and you've had conversations. I've been this way since high school. You know what I'm saying? I've never trusted them. But it's like good police, bad police, man. If the women who put out there that they're good women are not speaking against the bad women, then are you really good women? And I was on the other podcast earlier, and they're saying, well, we being lumped in with all women. It's like the cops saying, hey, you can't hate all police, but if the good cops aren't turning in or putting the bad cops on blast, then we have to lump you together because you're supporting in silence. And that's what I tell these girls all the time. You support in silence. You don't speak out against these women. There's a few of them that come up and they do, but most of them don't. But earlier we were talking about empowerment, and like I said, Black empowerment, empowerment of our demographic is being sacrificed for their own. The Black community is now Black women. We are not part of the Black community anymore. Well, if we ever were, we haven't been for a long time. You understand what I'm saying? And the last point I want to make, because we were talking about simps, is I've said this to Gigi before. I think that there is, I don't know if it's unconscious or conscious. I think there's probably a mixture of both. A conscious or unconscious effort to remove male influence from the household so that you can indoctrinate the young kids with this stuff. If we're there to to counter that, then you don't have as many simps as you do. It's easy to indoctrinate. It's hard to to unteach. It's hard for these guys to let go of the idea that there's a gynarchy or a matriarchy or anything like that. If they grow up thinking that this thing is normal. So you're going to have the outliers who don't adhere to the teaching, but most of these guys are going to pick these things up because most of us are raised in single parent households, and that has become the norm. And like like we've been talking about, feminist ideology is practiced by a lot of these women, so they're going to pass it down to their male and female children. It's just is what it is.
All right, much appreciated, good brother.
No doubt.
Thank you for coming on up, especially last minute like that.
Yeah, most def, man.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, later, y'all.
Peace.
All right.
All right, brother GG. Any thoughts?
Yeah, what I want to say is, in relation to OnlyFans, man, am I filled with tears and, am I filled with dismay over the fact that some, women who decided to utilize, a social platform to get money? Not really. They're just going to have to make do. They'll figure out how to, get their money right. But my message to men is, man, stop fapping and stop giving these women all this money, man. You do better, saving your bread, bro. And if you must fap, you know what I'm saying? I mean, go to
the free site, huh?
Go to Hamster or something, dude. You ain't got to go to OnlyFans, bro. Whatever. I'm just keeping it 100. It might sound crazy, but I mean, I'm just saying.
Sales of Jergens. Ever since OnlyFans went up, sales of Jergens went up too.
It is what it is.
What did Marcus say? The simps will be with us always.
Hey, man, simp's gonna simp. Pimp's gonna pimp. But at the end of the day, I don't consider myself either. I'm not a pimp. I'm not trying to exploit women and use their bodies in order to get money unjustifiably or with brutality or nothing like that. But look, I just can't see paying for a fake relationship with somebody, man. I'm not about to do that. Okay, that's just not. That ain't in my blood, man.
It doesn't take many. So, but there's a lot of them out there, unfortunately.
But and then the second thing I'll say is, and I even had to consult with Doc Johnson yesterday about this because I wanted to gain a greater understanding myself of this. Ultimately, Black males report the highest rates of intimate partner victimization and contact sexual violence victimization over a 12-month period in the United States. Okay. So what that means is those who report having been sexually victimized or abused in a 12-month period are Black males. Okay. These are facts. This is empirical data, facts.
Yes, sir.
So everything that you've been taught, everything you think you know from sexual misconduct and sexual assault and rape, and the definition of rape has changed to not just being penetrated, but being made to penetrate. A whole host of things have changed related to data and how numbers are tallied related to sexual misconduct and assault.
Right.
But men experience, these assaults as well. And as the show you put forward when you began, there was a school teacher, man. I mean, they're abusing little boys, man.
Yes, sir.
And they're using power, their positions of power, in order to exploit these boys.
Yeah.
And under any other circumstances, it would be considered egregious and worthy of someone doing time or being socially stigmatized forever. But we don't have that same energy when it comes to the health and the well-being of young boys, black boys, and that's a shame. And then when it comes to DV, the same thing is clear. Now, men are stronger than women, yes, but to minimize and to reduce the impact of assault by women just because they're women and are not as strong as men is ridiculous. Men have feelings, they have psychological dispositions, they have mental and health, concerns related to this issue, just like women do. And right now we don't have the language, or we don't even have the empathy to extend to men who suffer from these kind of acts. And men are dying out here.
Yeah.
And they're being cut, they're being stabbed, and some people are minimizing it as if it's non-important at all. And I think this is mostly because we've been indoctrinated with this idea that only women are suffering from these issues.
Right.
We have to change that. We have to start telling the truth. And the only way we can actually begin to understand the truth is for men to come forward and to start telling their stories and to start explaining to each other and to the world how this deeply impacts their mental health and their well-being.
Exactly.
So having said all that, bro, I'm done, man. Y'all have a good one. Be peaceful, man.
Hey, man, appreciate you. Thanks for coming through, man. Y'all make sure you support the Keep It 100 channel. My boy Marcus, make sure you support the Green Gorilla. Go to Green Gorilla channel, become a member, support the brother. His work is exceptional as usual. Now let me see. We heard Officer Charles for a quick second.
Mm-hmm.
Is he back, or is he back to being?
Close the candy box for a second, Charles.
Oh yes. Huh?
Any closing thoughts before we close out for the night, sir?
Love, peace, and soul. But I'm glad that you and Dr. GG and BGS and others came up here to speak on this riveting topic, because when I speak about it, I'm a woman hater, but I'm glad to see academia coming to the rescue.
Well, so am I. I'm a woman hater too. So.
But it's funny how I speak about men needing to get back to their greatness, but I'm a hater of women. Just like I had many of women, like my last panel, we had some 25-year chick who didn't want to come on to have a dialogue. She wanted to twerk and argue. And I'm like, you're really trying to convince us that we should marry you? Get out of here. I'm gonna say this when it comes to this prostitution stuff. You know what? Women always are their greatest enemy when you think about when it comes to this shit. And the reason why is because you basically traded out living the life of a man instead of the comfort of a woman, and you have nobody else but to blame but yourselves. The saddest part about it is, sooner or later, you're going to need the protection of men. I've always asked this to women when I asked them, what do you offer up to the giving of my life, either taking one or giving one up for protection? Right. What do you offer? And don't give me anything that a pet can offer as well. Don't give me nothing about companionship, because always can make friends. Don't give me anything about loyalty, because I've seen the Thundercats more loyal to Lionel than women are to us.
Yeah,
so
they don't even offer loyalty anymore.
Exactly. So give us something that's tangible. Don't give me anything that's a feel good moment. Give me those tangibles. Because if you're doing so great and so hot, I'll say this, and I'm out. When my coworker was referring to Kevin Samuels, why would you take advice from a guy who was married twice? You took advice from all your female friends, and the only thing y'all seen about a marriage was a marriage of a ham sandwich.
Oh.
I said, number one, if I listen to somebody who's been married for 30 or 40 years, they're out of context.
Okay.
So at least you could show that a black man was willing to do it twice. You're 40 and you couldn't even do it once, and you can't give me the excuse of being picky.
Right.
And I'm like this. What you're trying to say is picky is that you're looking for a dream man and you're not even a dream girl.
Right.
But at the same time, man, get your mind right, get your body right, get your money right, get your emotions right, get your soul right. Everything will be all right.
Right.
Don't simp for free.
Don't simp
Remember,
for free.
remember. Don't forget to get your premium liquor, your fine cigars, and always be loyal to your. I'll let you fill the blanks.
All right. Peace. Thanks for coming through. I'll support Charles Faulkner's channel. Go look him up. Become members. Support him. Yeah, that's what's up. Thanks a lot, officer. Last but not least, brother BGS, and I'm gonna say this before you say your comments. Make sure you support the Black Pill Gnostic channel with brother BGS. So, any thoughts? Any closing thoughts as we transition out?
What is this? Like Hannibal said on the I love it when a plan comes together, right? I've been telling y'all this is gonna happen for like two and a half years. Okay. I've been telling you that I actually did a couple of videos on OnlyFans, like last year, talking about how they're actually going to saturate it, and then after that, how the people at the top, the more famous people, because it's a way to make money, are pushing the other people out. That's what's actually happening, and they're going to dump all these chicks on the street, and like I said, get your coffee money ready. Everybody a year and a half ago when I said get your coffee money ready, talk about coffee girls. Everybody thought I was crazy. Thought it was nuts. Now you're looking at it.
Wow.
And it might be cheaper than a cup of coffee. Who knows? Power bar.
You said a power bar. You, sir. Look, man. I think on the real, there. I think, if I were to sum it up, I would say there are many black men in this sector that really just wanted black women in particular, but women in general, especially Western women, who appreciate the sacrifices of men. But one of the things we're starting to see is what this looks like when the rubber hits the surface. Really starting to see what poverty looks like. Because we were talking about the early 1980s and the crack epidemic. We're starting to see those same kinds of impacts. And, it's something that, it doesn't present itself the way you think. But nevertheless, I just want men to be prepared.
Yeah.
I want men to be able to protect themselves. I want black men in particular to be able to kind of see what's coming and have a framework for how to address it, especially if it catches you off guard, whether it's the phone calls, whether it's the surprise text or the knocks on your door.
Yes.
And that's just in terms of how to respond to other people who are coming for you. Outside of that, I want brothers to be prepared for this economy, which is one of the reasons I'm a huge supporter of your channel, because you talk a lot about global politics, economics. I want brothers to be as prepared as possible to stand on our own 2 feet in the midst of all that's coming, diversify your income, have multiple streams of it, whatever you need to do. I want brothers to be prepared for what is happening and what's still yet to come. Brother,
I appreciate that. C. Smith with a big one.
Yeah, that generous offer. Thank you. Let me see. BGS, can we get a ground zero episode?
There's a couple of cats that are actually in LA, and he went like once a week. He actually films ground zero on a stroll on Figueroa. It goes up and down. So, and I'm sure it's starting to pick up. I mean, yeah, the traffic is ridiculous over there now. So,
well, I appreciate you coming on up, man. Thank you, and I appreciate everybody for coming through. We're gonna close it out here, and I will see you brothers next week. So I'm gonna bring you down, BGS.
All right.
See. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and close out. I appreciate y'all coming through. make sure you support the channel, and we'll go from there. Peace.